I'd like to say good evening and welcome all the ladies and gentlemen here, council members, city officials. This is the February 8th City Council meeting. We have 4 items on our agenda this evening. Mr. Schofield, if you would you like to have a roll call, members, please?
Carter? Or Carty, really?
Here.
Clay?
Here.
Corcoran? Lorena?
Here.
Ray?
Here.
Neal?
Here.
Patrick?
Here.
Roll?
Here.
Chapman? Here.
Thank you. If everyone would, please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, the minutes from the previous meeting have been distributed for review. I hope you all have. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes? Mrs. Clay? Gray? And seconded by Mr. Tapman. Now, seconded by Mr. Florina.
There we go.
Thank you. We have a roll call on accepting the minutes, please.
Carty?
Yes.
Clay?
Yeah.
Lorena?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Roll?
Yes.
Chapman? Yes.
The minutes have been accepted as presented. At this time, we have reports of the committees. Mrs. Kroll. No. What is wrong with me? Mrs. Patrick.
Thank you. The Utilities Committee has one item on tonight's agenda. It's the 3rd reading of the ordinance defining and zoning homeless shelters. As I had said at the January 28th committee meeting, I would now make a motion to postpone indefinitely item number 1.
We have a motion to postpone, seconded by Mr. Kroll. Roll call on the motion to postpone that assignment indefinitely.
Carty?
Yes.
Clay?
Yes.
Lorena?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Roll?
Yes.
Chapman? Yes.
And that assignment now is postponed.
Okay. I'd also like to report that assignment number 16-18 regarding creating a stormwater committee. There's been no movement on this assignment. We have to do our water rate review committee, and that should be, I'm assuming, sometime this month. And there will be a utilities committee meeting Wednesday, February 10th, within 2 days, 4:30 in council chambers. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Patrick. Any other committee reports, Mr. Florina?
Yes, Safety Committee. Item 3 is ordinance to authorize purchase of computer systems for various offices and appropriate $16,400 for the purpose and installation of said computer systems. The primary importance for this right now, it's a whole piece of legislation, but currently we have a really bad situation with our law director and her office. They've encountered numerous outages and their system crashing. It's essential for the law director to perform their duties. They have a lot of duties, not only in the court system, but with our legislation to have the proper materials. So we're looking, they did the due diligence, they gave us 3 options reflected in the meeting. I think taking the temperature of the meeting that we went with, they were accepting of the first offer, which was the $5,400 to get. The supporting company that does their software says it'll be just fine with it, so I think that'll go. After, we also have an issue with the clerk's computer, so that was another one that needed to be replaced. The total, if you look for these other appropriated funds, if you look at each line item, these are computers for various parts of the administration. They need to be replaced. They don't have to be replaced immediately, but they do have to be replaced by the time the new software comes. So as opposed to waiting, we'll just appropriate the funds and let it sit until the appropriate time. And because of the nature, especially due to the fact that we need that portion for the law directors at the appropriate time, I would like the support of waiving the 3 read rule. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Farina. Any other committee reports? Mr. Paul?
Special committee to look at changing council rules to move the council time from 7:30 to 7. We'll have a committee meeting directly following the utilities meeting at 4:30 on Wednesday, just to further discuss that option. And that is currently sitting at item number 4 at first reading tonight.
Okay. Any other committee reports? Mr. Clay?
City Services doesn't have an item on the agenda tonight, but we did meet last Monday to discuss assignment number 16-020, a request for appropriation of $25,000 to be used for capital purchases to replace service vehicles and other service equipment that's aging or obsolete. The idea behind this appropriation is to allow the mayor's office the flexibility it needs to take advantage of those auction sites, which present the potential to save a significant sum of money to the taxpayers here in Chillicothe. We did have a meeting, as I said, on February 1st. There were no objections to that, so we sent that over to the law director's office, and that should be on the agenda at the next council meeting.
Any other committee reports this evening? Seeing none, reports from officials. Mayor Feedy?
Thank you, President Arnold. Touch briefly on the agenda tonight. I would look to item number 2. There's been a lively and I think thorough discussion of item 2 as it relates to the increase of wages for employees across the city, non-bargaining and management level. I'm happy to answer any questions on that item tonight, but if there are none, I would ask for your favorable vote on that item tonight, as well as supporting item number 3. And on a note that I don't usually touch on, a personal note, I was out this last week, a little bit harder to get a hold of because my first son was born, and a lot of people in this room and across the city have been very kind, and I appreciate all the well wishes. And it has been a very, very good day. My wife and my son are home and happy and healthy. So that is it for my report tonight.
Congratulations again, because it was already singing, but congratulations. And Mr. Merrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also glad to see Luke's boys arrive. Now he'll know the joys of parenthood. I'm sure he'll be a great father, and I know Stacy's a great mother. We finally got a chance to summarize some numbers from last year. We're looking at a carryover of $1.4 million, which is an increase of $600,000 over last year. The largest in years, but I'm advised that we shouldn't get too excited because 2014 was an unnaturally low income tax year, and 2015 was probably a little high, so maybe we'll see 2016 balance things out. That was largely on the strength of income tax. You could probably compare that to the income tax to 2014 levels. Let's see, looking to compare the 2015 and 14 revenue reports, you see what else was high. So you've had a strong start to the 2016 income tax. Who knows if the economy's getting better or not, but the income tax is up. We're not in the clear by any means. We're still looking at this fiscal caution. The city's made great strides in getting that, and the reasons for that cleared up. But it's one of those things where it's up to discretionary powers to finally say everything's fine. But Luke, of course, did a great job, and the treasurer's office has got things pretty much squared away, as far as I can tell. So, like I say, everything that objectively had to be done is pretty much done. But we still have to keep it going and be conservative and deliberate in what we do. We're not in the clear by any means. Many capital needs are out there because of years of putting things off. so to speak. We do need a capital improvement plan. We need some of the other things the citizens have suggested, like long-range capital plan, long-term financial plan. Some great ideas. And we're going to try to figure out how to do some of that. Anyhow, none of what I was talking about there has anything to do with the recently passed tax levies. Those are going to be collected coming up. So anyway, that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Law Director, Ms. Rucker.
Thank you, President Arnold. I'd just briefly like to address item number 3. During the first couple of weeks of 2016, the Law Director's Office experienced Murphy's Law, in that whatever can go wrong does go wrong, and always at the worst possible time. 2 of our 4 computers started to fail. I believe it had something to do with the fans overheating and causing the computers to crash. We have a 3rd one that's freezing up and failing to accept or send email, which is our primary source of communication with a lot of the departments. We tried to verify if there was a warranty available, and of course, no warranty on those computers because of the age on them. We even kind of contacted the manufacturer to see if there was any remedy available, and of course there wasn't. The use of our computers are very crucial to our everyday operations. We constantly use them in prosecution in Chillicothe Municipal Court. We prepare legislation, communications, and then we also have a specific software program that we use that stores data for us, making it readily available. It saves time for the preparation of court documents such as recipes for subpoenas, victim letters, court dockets, and things like that. So it's certainly something that we need, and we're sorry that we have to come asking for it so early, but we don't have any choice. I'd like to thank Mr. Farima for moving so quickly on the assignment and making sure that computers can get ordered at the earliest possible date. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Rucker. Mr. Barrington?
I meant to add, I'm sorry to go back to this, but I too would like to recommend, as the mayor does on ordinance number 2, that's a very important ordinance for the administration to get started on the right foot, get the right people in place, attract the right people, and also has a little bit to do with the auditor's office. So I'd join the mayor and ask that be passed if you can do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rucker.
President Arnold,
Yes.
I have a quick question for the law director real quick.
Okay, sure.
Mrs. Rucker, how quickly will you be able to get the computer?
I
Given
think-
how crucial it is as far as time goes.
I think that once we get the approval, we can go ahead and order them. We'll get them in a matter of like a week. So we'll limp along until then.
Yeah, but there was like a crash today. I was getting to work over there, so
Yeah.
they need it yesterday.
Thank you.
I have really nothing to report. I'm still working on trying to get this televised. Still making phone calls and not finding out much information, but working on that. And that's really all that I have to report. At this time is audience participation. Is anybody from the audience? We do have a sign-in sheet. Yeah, I have one person on the sheet, Mr. McNeely.
My name is Jake McNeely, and I live at 7 Bellcrest Lane. That happens to be in the 5th Ward if you don't know where it is. What I'm here tonight is for about 5 different items. Hopefully I can get them all in time. First one is, I'd like to know why we're paying all these bills for the treasurer to have somebody do the books for him. We're spending over $1,200 a month, and they're doing the books. He's not doing the books. Every purchase order that I've read, they're doing all the book work. Why are we spending $1,200 a month? It's $1,200 a month wasted. It's time the council stops flowing the money to that department. That's over. It figured up about $15,000 last year. It's time to stop. It's been there for over 2 years. It's time to stop. You can only teach somebody something so long. The next thing I'd like to bring up is, something that we're talking about is raises, which I was for, I was at that meeting. But I've sort of changed my mind a little bit because of something that I found out. Number one is, when I was at council a lot of you know me from being here before, you made the promise that you needed the citizens to back you up. You wanted more trust. Well, you're going to have to prove that to me now. Because number one, you voted to pave a parking lot out here. It was not on the ballot. No description. It said streets and alleys only. But you spent $38,000. But at the same time, we only paid one alley during the whole 2015. One alley. I can take you two alleys right now. That's worse than any street or alley in the whole friggin' county. And it's right up the street from the mayor. It's the one that goes between Bellevue and 5th Street by the post office. My goodness, it's got craters from here to China. So we need basic services. Until we get the basic services to the taxpayers who pay the money to support this city, I'm not in favor of giving anybody no pay raises, period. I don't care who you are. You don't get a pay raise until you do the job. Right now, you're not doing the job. One alley is not right. That's wrong. And if you look at Main Street, there's potholes in Main Street right now, big ones. And when they quit paving down by Tabernacle Baptist Church, I don't know what happened. They must have run out of pavement that day. If that's not an eyesore, you finish the job. Once you start it, you don't do 90% and leave 10% looking like crap. And that's what you got, and that's coming into the main part of the city. It looks like crap. Plus, it's got a hole in it down there too, another crater. We're not patching the craters on Main Street that just got patched. So, that goes back to the last issue that I have is basic city services. That's what I pay for, and most of the people in this room, all of you pay for it. And the thing about city services is, that I look at is water and sewage. The next item on my list is garbage pickup, which was a joke for the last 4 years. The raccoon take more of my garbage than the city picked up. Then after that, I would say leaf pickup is another one. Another one is large item pickup, people like that. The problem I have with the leaf pickup is, you guys set a new record. City of Chillicothe set a new record for Carlisle Hill. Last year, during the last administration, I lived on Carlisle Hill for 37 years. My leaves has always been picked up before Thanksgiving. This year, they're still there, laying there. Right now, to this day, they're still there. 37 years they were picked up. Now they're not. But I'll give Luke favor for one thing. I've lived in the same house for 16 years. They plowed my street for the first time the other day, and I about fell over. I said, my God, we got a new mayor, and we got my street plowed. I couldn't believe what's happening. What's going on here? Because every time I go to the service department downstairs, they say, well, there's only 3 of you live on the street, so you're last priority. You're the last street plowed in the whole Chillicothe. Well, that's wrong, because the way I look at it, you do it, me drive, all you have to do is swing around and hit our street and go right on, but they never do. They say you're the last priority, so you don't get plowed. So I never had the street plowed for 16 years until the other day, and then about
It was a
passed
deal
out.
with the devil, Jake. You get the leaves or the snow.
Well, when we get to the leaves, I'd like to know why we can't, you know, I was a maintenance supervisor for 30 years. We have bobcats and backhoes. I can pick up your leaves with a bobcat and backhoe right now, but I don't see anybody using them, so we got them. And we're talking about all this excess money we got, can't spend a little bit more. I noticed my councilman, I went to find out where he lived. I noticed his half of the street on 4th Street was picked up where he lives. The other half of 4th Street still got leaves everywhere.
But I still have a Christmas tree.
Well, not your Christmas tree. But anyway, if we don't have basic services, how do you give people raises? They're not doing their job. The service department's being poorly run. And I'm not afraid to say it, the superintendent you got over there running crews, he needs to step up the plate and do something. You gotta know how to manage people. And he's not doing it. You don't give him a pay raise, period. And that's part of this ordinance that you're gonna vote But you want the trust of the people, go ahead and vote in. You won't get that trust, but you're gonna get something else that you don't like. You're gonna catch a lot of flack. Because I'll tell you what, like paving these parking lots, they could have waited, the alley should have been done. 1 hour is unacceptable. But you need to go back to the basic services first, and then get the raises. Another thing about nuisance,
Half a minute.
the nuisance, Second Ward, I own a piece of property. Here's something that I can't figure out. I don't know whether you've done it or not, I'm not gonna say you did or you didn't. But I think every council person should ride around their ward, go down their alleys, go down their streets, write down what is bad and what's good. If it's real good, point it out, so you remember, I got something good going on here and I got something really bad. Over in the Second Ward, the property I own is between Allen Avenue and Fairway. And behind me, down 2 doors, you could put 3 dump trucks, take 3 city dump trucks up there, unload the trash that's in the backyard. That's nothing but garbage, old junk, into the dump trucks, 3 of them. Now that's ridiculous. The way I look at it, the councilman for that ward should have been driving down that alley and noticed that.
What's the address?
It's, it'll be on Laurel Street, the house is, I don't know the house number. But if you're going down Pine Avenue going north, as soon as you cut across Allen Avenue, you turn left on the first alley, believe me, you can't miss it. It's like you can't even see hardly in the back door of the house for all the trash. It's all the way back to the alley,
About 619. Well,
probably somewhere in that neighborhood. It's terrible. But I'd ask council people to take a look in their alleys and look and see what's going on. It's terrible. I know Dave's got some problems too. I know exactly what he does. I know exactly. And there's all kinds of areas in town that we have problems with. But I would ask people to really take a look at your wards and see what you got. This is a terrible issue back there. Terrible. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, anybody else in the audience like to speak? I know you're not on the sheet, but you're still welcome to. If you want, walk up to the podium and say, give your name and address.
Well, the thing is,
Not seeing anybody. We'll move on to old business. Does anybody have any old business they'd like to bring up, please? No old business. I'd like to ask for any correspondence from our clerk. I would like to mention that Mr. Schofield has come in tonight to take the place of Mr. Fawson, who I guess is in the Cleveland Clinic. Any word or update that you may? Just for Tess, okay. Since Mr. Schofield is acting as our clerk this evening, I do need to entertain a motion to accept him as being our temporary this evening by Mr. Clay and seconded by Mrs. Gray. And roll call on that motion to have you for temporary clerk this evening.
Carteen?
Yes.
Clay?
Yes.
Florima?
Yes.
Gray?
yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Chapman? Yes.
And we welcome you as our temporary clerk this evening. Thanks for coming in. Do we have any new business anybody would like to bring up? Mr. Carty?
2 quick items. One, there will be a community affairs meeting very briefly immediately following this council meeting to discuss agenda or assignment number 16-022. It should only take 5 minutes, so very quick. Second, I would like to make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Corcoran. We're all doing it tonight. I make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Corcoran.
I have a motion to excuse her, seconded by Mr. What's your name, Kroll? Great. Roll call on the motion to excuse. Yes, Ms. Corcoran.
Carteen?
Yes.
Clay?
Yes.
Florima?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Chapman? Yes.
And Mrs. Corcoran has been excused. Committee assignments, I've handed out a sheet for all the recent committee assignments that we've had. I can read them all, but there's quite a few, and I don't think it's necessary to go over them. I think everybody's got a sheet. Meeting dates, as Mrs. Patrick has mentioned, the utilities is going to be Wednesday at 4:30, and Mr. Cole is going to go over special meeting following that, and it will be here in council chambers. We'll see that they're open. Anybody else have anything on committee meetings or dates or anything they'd like to add to that? Yes, Mrs. Patrick.
I'd just like to make a quick comment on item number 2, about the pay raises.
Okay.
It comes down basically, do we want to give this new administration a chance to prove themselves? And I've debated long and hard about this. I've received tons of phone calls, and at this point, I'm willing to give, the mayor a chance. I think he'll come through on it. But I would just like to address, the reason we're paying the accountants to do the books, it's cheaper to pay $1,200 a month than to hire an assistant clerk for the treasurer to do that.
Well, what does he do?
He signs the checks.
And that's it? That's pretty good pay for signing the check.
But it was also a checks and balances that
Yeah.
we were required to do by the auditor of state as part of our fiscal caution. So that was the rationale behind what we did, and that's why it goes back 2 years. That's when we replaced. And so in order to be able to get ourselves out of that, that was one of the things that it was necessary for us to do.
So it's gonna come up with the list.
Pardon me?
I'll make sure that the nuisance officer
But it's
has
cheaper than
information
hiring,
on
right.
Laurel Street for you. And as far as leaf pickup, I'll make sure that Secretary Debbie knows about it, if she asks. Okay,
I
thank
told
you.
her October the 1st, my leave's been there since October the 1st before Thanksgiving, and it's still there.
Presbyterian Church looks terrible.
He's there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. It's a disgrace.
And do you realize how many people go to church there and see those leaves every Sunday?
Well,
Think about it.
it's been brought to their attention. I'm sure the administration will take care of
We
it.
put out, I don't know if I made it to a press release, but we tried to put it out public last week, that we were soliciting calls for all the leaf areas. And so for the next, I think we have it panned out for 5 weeks on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're trying to address the remaining leaves. I know that takes us into March to pick up leaves, which, is not acceptable. But if, obviously I've heard your two, Jake, I knew yours already, but those will be added to that list. And if you, honestly, I guess now's the time to say it, but spread the word. If there are areas that you know about leaves, put in a call to Debbie in the service department. And over the next 5 weeks, 2 days a week, we're going to be sending out crews to tackle what remains, so that at least by the time the spring starts, we're in better shape.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Mark, nuisance committee, I'm filing a complaint against the city of Chillicothe under an article in the nuisance laws about the leaves, especially the runoff of the water on Bellevue Avenue, causing a safety hazard, real big safety hazard. So that'll be the first complaint against the city under the new nuisance laws. I'll be there at 2:30 to make sure I file that complaint.
Okay, and we can't have a meeting until the mayor asks us, or appoints the members again, reappoints them.
On,
The nuisance abatement board.
okay.
I'm through.
Okay, that's fine. Any other discussions, Mr. Flatley, you had your hand up?
You know what, it's just, it's completely understandable, your frustration, especially with the parking issue. That was the last item of the Carlisle. It was, it was something that was set in stone and set into motion a while back. We did not have a choice in the matter, so begrudgingly, we had to have that done. Understandably, your frustration, that was done, but to get that done, we were obligated to do it. So it was just something that had to be done to get the Carlisle building finished.
You wasn't obligated to do it. You were
Contractually.
forced into it.
Contractually, were by our previous
You were
mayor.
forced into it because I know, I got the same attorney.
Well, I did vote no.
I know, that's why I was gonna ask you for an extension of time because you was the only guy voting no. I'm proud of you. That's what everybody else should have voted too, put the mayor in the hot seat because he's got it too. Not this mayor, the other mayor, the one that we're all glad is gone.
And just to point out the money for that did not come out of the streets and levies, or streets and alleys levy, that was out of our general fund.
It don't make any difference, everything goes to general fund anyway, 99% of it.
But in the language for the streets and levies levy, for the streets and alleys levy, we specifically said that that money can only be spent for streets or alleys. It cannot be spent to put on a parking lot or anything else. It cannot be spent to reimburse the general fund or moved into any other department. Those particular monies must be spent to fix streets and alleys. And that's what I want to make sure it's clear, because you talk about trust, if it's, let out to the community that we use that money incorrectly, which is not the case, it produces, a misconception. And that does break down the trust. But that money that we used came out of general. As Mr. Farima said, it was not something that we were planning on doing. It was a last-minute thing from our previous mayor. But I do want to make clear that does not come out of our streets and levies. We made sure when we wrote those that money would be protected for both police and for the streets. So, just.
But I mean, at no time did you ever put anything, or any council meeting, did I hear anything about paving any parking lot?
That is correct.
Not one time, so that is a trust issue.
We did not plan on paying for that parking lot.
I know, but it was the mayor's fault, not this mayor's. But
Yeah.
you were forced into paying it, I know all about it. But the other thing, is, you're talking about the trust and that. We spent $807,000 in garbage pickup last year out of the garbage fund, okay? But the citizens paid 1.5 into the garbage fund. More did the other money go? Went to the general fund. $5 extra that we're paying for. $700,000 basically went to the general fund. We should get a $5 kickback on that. You talk about trust. That $700,000 went to the police and firefighters. So let's talk about, you want to talk about trust, there's a trust issue.
That extra money is supposed to, over time, allow us to buy capital items for garbage collection. That was
They didn't pay
our.
off the trust, they borrowed the money. There
Yeah,
you
we
go.
did do that.
Should
We
take
did
that $700,000 for the trust off. That should be on the ordinance tonight. Get rid of the debt. I don't like being in debt myself.
If there's no other open discussion, at this time, we're going to move forward to legislation. We have 4 items on our agenda tonight. Mr. Schofield, whenever you're ready, item number 1, please.
An ordinance establishing rates of pay and other economic benefits for classified, non-classified, and management level employees for the city of Chillicothe, Ohio, and declaring emergency. Third reading.
Am I seeing the agenda wrong?
First one was,
Postpone.
we postponed indefinitely.
Postpone. And I show second reading on item number 2. Is it
Right.
supposed to
This
say
becomes
third?
number 1.
I do? Okay. Okay. Third reading, so we'll have roll call on that ordinance, please.
Tartine,
Yes.
Clay,
No.
Orima,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. We move now to item number 3 on the agenda.
First reading ordinance authorizing the purchase of computer systems for various city offices and appropriating $16,400 for the purchase and installation of said computer systems and declaring emergency. First reading.
Mr. Florina?
For reasons stated, as well as the law director, I move that we waive the 3-read rule.
I have a motion to waive the 3-read rule by Mr. Florina, seconded by Mrs. Gray. Roll call?
Tartine,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Orima,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
We have waived the 3-read ruling. Now, roll call on the ordinance, please.
Tartine,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Orima,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
And that ordinance has passed. And item number 4 on our agenda, please.
An ordinance amending and adopting rules of council for the city of Chillicothe, Ohio, and declaring emergency. First reading.
Okay. That's all we have on our agenda this evening. It concludes our business. Do we have a motion for adjournment? I do by Mr. Florina, seconded by Mr. Clay. Roll call on adjournment, please.
Partee,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Florina,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
We are adjourned.